Hello, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. I hope you're doing well. You've had a wonderful day. I hope you're not too exhausted because I'm ready to get started. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about money. I talk about money flow. I use history, current events, business and economic cycles, and I give you my unique perspective as far as what's happening and why. And today is no different. But please understand that my live stream is very informational, it's very educational, it is not entertainment. I am here to stimulate your mind, I'm here to challenge you, I'm here to engage with you, because my ultimate goal is to give you a very out of the box, unique perspective so that you can follow the flow of money and you can have generational prosperity and build generational wealth by not falling for the typical money traps. Next, my live stream. I like to engage. I like structured, objective engagement. I have a moderator. So what I'm asking you to do is to focus, engage with me, tap the screen, let's vibe, because I have some interesting perspectives and I want to share that information with you. Last but not least, please keep your preferences out of my live stream. Please keep your religious, your political, your gender, your racial, whatever other preferences you have. This is not the place. We're focused on money. We're focused on intellectual conversation. We're focused on connecting with one another, vibing with one another, and supporting one another. So if you can get with that, welcome to my live stream. Now, I have some very interesting information that I'm going to be going over today. I don't know fully what's going to come out of my mouth. I guess that's one of the magic of me. But thank you. Thank you for joining me. Please support my show. Follow me and let's get started. Now, yesterday I talked to you about the fact that Saudi Arabia was buying 18,000 plus chips from NVIDIA. Okay, I'm going to build upon that story from yesterday because there's some unique information that has come out, and I'm sorry it has caught my attention. Now, I know I have a few people in here. I know I got more than a few people in here. If you've never been here before, I'm a very demanding woman. What does that mean? I need you to tap the screen, okay? You are on a live stream with a woman who's live. You are alive. I am alive. So let's engage. Let's connect with one another. And I'm asking you to please tap that screen. Now, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, they've done a deal. It's a chip access deal. NVIDIA is selling 18,000 plus chips. I think it's the GB300 Blackwell chip to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is going to get first dibs on this on these chips that were just recently released. Excuse me, I'm still sick. Now that sounds like a great thing. Saudi Arabia is going to buy the chips. Saudi Arabia has first dibs, but there's a problem. Okay, let me tell you what the problem is. The U.S. is worried about China getting access to the chips. Yeah, I'm going to repeat this. Saudi Arabia has first dibs to buy one of NVIDIA's top chips, the most recent released chip. And the U.S. is concerned that if they sell that chip to Saudi Arabia, China will get access to that chip. As I go through my live stream today, I'm going to be shredding apart this whole narrative here because it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Okay? Let me tell you why it doesn't make any sense. First, the U.S. goes to Saudi Arabia. The U.S. goes to Saudi Arabia. It secures a multitude of deals, a multitude of financial deals. After the deals are almost done, the U.S. credit rating was lowered. Hold on, keep up with me. President Trump and his entourage went to Saudi Arabia, okay, because they wanted money from Saudi Arabia for whatever, investment, whatever. As soon as the deals are almost done with Saudi Arabia and there's a lot of money, cash money on the table, let me tell you what happened. The U.S. credit rating gets released the next day and it's lowered. Now, to me, that's suspicious. It's suspicious. Let me tell you why. Because you and I both know the agencies that are responsible for credit ratings of a country, you and I both know that the U.S. has a good relationship with these agencies that give out the credit ratings. And I know that I think it's Moody's was one of the last to lower the credit rating of the U.S. Why? Not because they didn't have facts or proof to show that the U.S. credit rating should be lowered. I believe they held out from lowering the U.S. credit rating to give the Trump administration some time to fix the situation. Let me know if that makes sense. I believe Moody's delayed the outcome of the U.S. credit rating to give Trump some time to secure some monetary deals, investment deals, in hopes that our revenue would make a dent in our debt. And what happened is that President Trump and his entourage went to Saudi Arabia, secured some deals, but unfortunately it was not enough. It wasn't enough to keep the U.S. credit rating from being lowered. So now Saudi Arabia and the U.S. have come to some understanding, have come to some agreements, and now come to find out, guess what? The U.S. credit rating is officially lowered. But that's not the end of it, okay? The Trump administration is approving deals with Saudi Arabia for AI chips, okay? It's approving semiconductor chips. It's to increase power and data capacity in Saudi Arabia. So the U.S. shows up to do deals with Saudi Arabia. It's coming with 18,000 chips from NVIDIA, one of NVIDIA's top chips, the one that's been released this year. No one really else has access to that chip, okay? We come saying, hey, we got these chips to increase your power and data capacity in Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia would naturally say, wow, thank you, that's great. Tap, 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 guys. Tap, tap, tap. You cannot fall asleep on me. I talk fast, okay? I appreciate you for being here so late at night. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your support, okay? But I need you to follow me, and I need you to tap that screen so I know that you're still here, all right? Please do that. We come with chips, NVIDIA's best chips. Thank you, Jojo. NVIDIA's best chips, saying we're here to help with your data capacity and with your energy capacity. But we're going to sell you these 18,000 chips. You're probably going to pay close to full price for those chips, but we have a concern. As the United States of America, we're concerned that China could access those chips physically or digitally via the cloud. So let me recap what I'm saying. The U.S. shows up. The royal purple carpet was rolled out for Trump and his jet. Trump gets out in Saudi Arabia. He goes and meets with the crown prince or crown princess, I can't even talk, whatever. He goes and meets with them. They come, they start doing deals. One of those deals was a weapons deal. Another deal was for these NVIDIA chips. Now, everyone wants to get a hold of an NVIDIA chip because NVIDIA was having a hard time exporting some of their chips out of the country. So the U.S. comes to Saudi Arabia with a, whole bunch of chips and says, hey, let's do a deal. We will give you first dibs on this chip, okay? But here's the problem. We're concerned that China may physically get the chips or access those chips, access that information in Saudi Arabia. So what the U.S. is proposing is that Saudi Arabia pays full price. Saudi Arabia gets the chips, but the U.S. wants to put requirements, stipulations, controls in place. That's like you going to a car dealership, you buy a car, and the car dealer, the person that sells it to you, say, hey, I know you bought this car, but I'm concerned that a burglar may come steal your car. So I want access to your car, and I want the ability to use and control your car, even though you just paid me for that car. Does that make sense? Tap that screen. Come on now, don't go to sleep on me. Can you imagine going to a car dealership, buying a car? The car salesman says, hey, I'm concerned that your car may get accessed or stolen. So I want you to pay me full price for this car. Hello, Elizabeth. I love you too. I want you to pay full price for this car. But I want you to know that I have keys to your car. I want access to your car, and I may do what I need to do to protect that car from the burglar. That sounds like that's not your car. So I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you, Saudi Arabia. I'm talking to you. You're going to pay full price, close to full price, for 18,000 chips from NVIDIA. You're going to pay full price, and you are going to allow another country to tell you what you can and cannot do with a chip that you're using on your soil to build your AI hub. That doesn't make sense. That makes no sense at all. Now, that doesn't stop just there. That's not it. The U.S. government is attempting to control the chips from overseas. The U.S. government wants unconditional access to NVIDIA's AI chips on Saudi Arabia's soil. If that is not one of the most crazy, asinine things I've ever heard in my life, that means Saudi Arabia, that's not your AI hub. That is not your AI data center. That means you are a proxy for the US in regards to AI. Why would you agree to even remotely consider taking those 18,000 chips from NVIDIA when this is deeper than what it seems? I'm just getting started, guys. I'm just getting started, okay? But what I want you to know, I need you to follow me. Follow me, support this show, because if you've never seen me before, I have some unique out-of-the-box perspectives, and I would love for you to follow me. And for everyone else, feel free to take it to the next level. Your support of this show means a lot to me, and there's a link on my profile that allows you to show your support and direct correlation to the value that I'm adding for you. So please follow me, and please go to the link in my bio, check it out, because you can support this show in another way. Now let me get back on topic here. The US is trying to control the AI chips that Saudi Arabia is that Saudi Arabia is buying from NVIDIA. Now, listen, here are the options that the U.S. is offering. The U.S. is offering a digital embassy. So the U.S. is saying, hey, if you don't want us to control it remotely, we can have a digital embassy in Saudi Arabia. Now, an embassy is what you think. There's a certain section of the country that is allocated to another country, and it's kind of off limits. But that's with a brick and mortar embassy. The U.S. is suggesting a digital embassy in Saudi Arabia. No. Let me tell you what that means. If you want to know what that means, tap that screen. Follow me, okay? Support this live. Follow me. Tap that screen if you want to hear what this means. A digital embassy means there's no limits. There's no boundaries. You see, with the traditional embassy, you have a fence, you have a wall, you have limitations as far as the reach of that embassy. The U.S. is very slick. The U.S. is slick like an eel. Do you hear me? Saudi Arabia, I'm talking to you. A digital embassy means there's no limits. If the U.S. has a digital embassy in Saudi Arabia, and I also think that those chips from NVIDIA, I think they're tapped. If you heard me tap that screen, the 18,000 chips that Saudi Arabia has first dibs on and is going to be buying, I believe, so what? I don't know. So what? If you can't keep up, you just got blocked. Bye-bye. Deuces. The chips, the 18,000 chips, I believe they're altered. Do you understand me? They are altered. There is no way that Saudi Arabia is getting those chips and untapped. You want to know why? Because the U.S. government is saying that they're concerned for security reasons. You know, when we start using security, national security, when we start throwing around national security, that gives us rights to do things that we normally would not do in business deals. Typically with a business deal, I have money, you have a good or service, we exchange, we go about our lives. This is a business deal that's coming with strings attached. Thank you, Wendy. And some of those strings you can't see. So the U.S. is saying 18,000, but we want to either control them from the U.S. or we want to set up a digital embassy. And it works the same as a physical, but for digital data activities. Saudi Arabia Saudi Arabia, let me tell you what happens. You give another country access to your AI chips. You must understand the power of AI. You must understand the power of the digital world. There's no limits. There's no limits. The U.S. is telling you that they're worried that China can access those chips from a cloud. If China can access those chips from a cloud, that means any other country can access those chips from a cloud. Please tap that screen, guys. How many people are here? 300. I got 300 people. Tap, 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 tap. Please follow me and show your support, but you got to tap. Okay, you got to tap the screen. You got to support this live. I need you to follow me. I need you to tap, and I need you to go to my profile and show your support. There's a link on my profile. The U.S. is telling you, Saudi Arabia, that we want to set up a digital embassy and/or we want to control, have access to your AI chips because we're concerned that China could access those chips. China's not the only country in the world. If China can access those chips, that means the U.S. can access that information. You got to look at what you're being told. What you're being told is a half story. You're being told a half story. You're not looking at the full picture. This doesn't seem right. So you have you have AI chips that you bought from NVIDIA that I believe have been doctored, that have been messed with. You're going to create an AI hub. You're going to become the AI hub of the world there in Saudi Arabia. Yet you have big brother. You have a big brother, a big sister who's accessing your AI data center either remotely from the US and/or from inside your country. Let me tell you what they can do. They can access your crown princess bank accounts. They can keep track of your flight schedules. They can know who your future and past wives are. They know what you have for dinner. They know who you're talking to. They can track your emails. They can access every single damn thing within your country under the guise of national security. On their embassy. How would you know? How would you know what they can or cannot see? Are y'all with me? If y'all with me, tap that screen. Show your support and follow me. And go to my profile, okay, and check out the link. There's many ways to support this live stream. This is a setup. This is a setup. Let me tell you what this reminds me of. Let me tell you the story this reminds me of. I'm going to take you back in history. I got a history story for you. Let me give you some history. The Spanish conquistadors. The Spanish conquistadors were set out because Spain was going broke. And anytime a country is going broke, let me tell you what they do. They leave their soil, they go someplace else. You got to listen to me very carefully, guys. My audience, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I need you to tap this screen, and I also need you to support this live and follow me and go to my profile. Listen to me. Spain sent out the Spanish conquistadors, not because of fun. They wanted money. And typically what happens is that when a country is going broke, they get their booties on a plane. Thank you, Eric. Miss Rosie, they get their booties on a plane. They get their booties on a ship, train, horseback, whatever you want to call it. And they start venturing out. Okay. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in South America, the timing was unbelievable because they thought it was the god. I think it's called, his name is Quetzalcoatl. So when the Spanish conquistadors arrived, the indigenous people, the Aztecs, believed that the god had come back. They thought the god had come back. Why? Because of the timing, because of the weapons that they had, the advanced weapons. And what did they do? They rolled out the royal purple carpet. Wink, 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 wink. Yes, Saudi, you rolled out a purple carpet for the Trump administration. So I'm drawing parallels. They rolled out the purple red carpet, okay, for Hernan Cortez because they thought he was the god Quetzalcoatl. What did they do? They opened their temples. They opened their castles. They welcomed them in. They welcomed their conquerors in. They gave them gold. They gave them food. They worshiped them. And then the Spanish conquistadors wiped them the hell out. Now let's take it to modern day society. You, Saudi Arabia, you're a sovereign nation, a wealthy nation, a successful nation. And yes, you got your footing, your help with the use of U.S. investment, U.S. research scientists. Yes, you got your footing, but you're not. But you're not a baby anymore, Saudi Arabia. That was a long time ago. You are a wealthy, powerful, influential country. Now we are at the dawn of a digital boom, a digital wave where countries and companies are vying to win this AI and quantum computing race. Tap that screen, guys. Come on now, keep up with me. Okay? You are at the precipice of possibly winning this AI race. You want to know why? Because you have minerals, critical minerals, resources. You have access to renewable energy, cheap renewable energy, and you have the money to set up your AI data hub. You have a lot of things going in your favor. So what happens is the Spanish conquistadors, the modern day version, had showed up at your doorstep. Why? Because the U.S. economy is struggling. The GDP is not lying. The credit rating being lowered is not lying. The debt levels is telling the truth. Money talks. So you have your friends showing up. You roll out the royal red carpet, the royal purple carpet, and you think they're coming with gifts. No, 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 no. They're coming with tricks. They're coming with tricks. Because when you pay your money for those chips, your money is gone. But are those chips yours? You set up your AI hub, your AI data center with chips that the U.S. wants to manage, control, access. That is not your AI data center. That is the U.S.'s data center. This reminds me of a modern day version of the Cold War. Y'all familiar with the Cold War? You see, the Cold War was between the U.S. and Russia. This Cold War situation is with the U.S. and who? Come on now, you can use an emoji. Tell me, tap that screen. This is a Cold War tactic. Cold War tactic, but it's not between the U.S. and Russia. It's between the U.S. and another country. And they're trying to use Saudi as a proxy. They're trying to use Saudi as a proxy to get at China. If you use those chips, I am 99.9999% confident that those chips are hacked. I am also confident that that digital embassy, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be used to sneak peep on you and a lot of other people. And they're going to be able to use Saudi Arabia as a cover. It makes no sense how you're going to sell chips and you want to control them. That's called a setup. That's called a setup. That is called a government espionage. That is called a setup. And if you know anything about Cold War tactics, if you know anything about the Cold War tactics, you know the lengths that the U.S. and Russia went through to get information on each other. Tap that screen if you know this history. You know the Cold War lasted for a very long time. And you know the U.S. and Russia went through great lengths to get information on each other. Now you fast forward today, you don't necessarily need people on your soil. Hi, Miss Rosie. You don't need people on your soil. When you have digital access, let me tell you what happens. They can send information up to Starlink. You use these NVIDIA chips. Let me tell you what's going to happen. The U.S. is going to access them remotely. The U.S. is going to access them from their digital embassy. They're going to beam information up to Starlink, and they're going to beam that shit back to the U.S. Does anyone see what I see? Please follow me. Welcome to my live stream. If you've never been here before, please follow me, okay? Show your support. And if you are getting any value with what I'm talking about, if you get any value from what I'm talking about, please feel free to support me by going to my web link on my profile and taking it to the next level. But please follow me. This is what's happening. Hi, Aunt Kitty. This is not what it seems. This is not what it seems at all. Hello, Joan. Welcome. This is not what it seems. So they want a digital embassy and they want a government IT. They want a government operated IT center within Saudi Arabia. A government operated IT center. That sounds like the CIA to me. That sounds like the U.S. government is asking Saudi Arabia without asking them to set up a data embassy that sounds like a digital version of the CIA. All because they're concerned about China. The U.S. president is flying on a jet from Qatar. Our president, instead of being on a presidential jet that was made by the U.S., President Trump is flying around in a jet that he got from Qatar. And he has the audacity to say that he's worried about national security. And he's worried about China accessing physically or in the cloud chips that belong to Saudi Arabia. Guys, when it doesn't make sense, that means there's a lie in that bitch. Did you hear me? It should be simple. It should be, David, how many times you going to get blocked, David? You're going to get blocked one time. Bye-bye, David. It doesn't make sense. Something else is brewing beneath the scenes because let me tell you this. The White House is saying that they're trying to balance sales with security. The U.S. government saying it's trying to balance selling these chips with national security. It's trying to give Saudi Arabia free reign over the chips. But it's worried about national security. It's not worried about national security as far as the plane that our president and his administration's on. No, that's not as nice. That's not a national security thing. No. It's only a national security when it comes to the chips from NVIDIA. You cannot fall for this. I'm telling you, basically what's happening is that Saudi Arabia, if you agree to this, you are no longer running at this AI race. You are being used as a proxy, as a pawn on behalf of the U.S. You see, this is also about money. The country that has access to cheap, renewable energy, the country that has access to critical rare minerals and resources, those are the countries that's going to fare better with this AI race. China still has an export ban on the U.S. as far as critical rare minerals. The U.S. is running through our stockpiles for critical rare minerals. Yes, we secured a deal with the Ukraine. Yes, we did, but we need more. So I'm trying to tell you, Saudi Arabia, the chips are a ruse. The weapons deal is a ruse. It's no different than when the Spanish conquistadors showed up at the doorstep. They came there because they wanted money. Information is money. Control and power is money. And if you can't create it on your soil, typically what Europe and the U.S. likes to do is we like to show up on other people's soil. And we like to get access to their critical rare minerals. We like to get access to their people. We like to use their geographical location for our benefit. And then when we're done, we like to cause mayhem and discord. So we're fighting for generations and you can't seem to get your footing. I'm going to repeat that again. When Europe or America is running out of money, what we like to do is we like to show the hell up at someone else's country. Either we come bearing gifts or you get confused and you think it's a god that has come back onto your soil. So what do? You roll out the royal purple carpet. You come with gifts because you think you've been divinely blessed. Or that country comes with gifts. They offer you a weapons deal that they've never offered another country ever. Yeah, you said it. The U.S. has offered Saudi Arabia a weapons deal that is so big, we have never done it in history. Don't you know when someone gives you a deal that good, Someone offers you a deal that you can't refuse when their credit rating has been lowered, their GDP is essentially flat, their goddamn national debt has taken off to goddamn Pluto. Don't you know when you're being set up for a heist? Don't you know when you're being set up? Do you not know when you're being set up? It's an economic setup. Look at the facts of the U.S. economy. Look at our debt. Look at it. Now, I want you to look at the national debt now that our credit rating has been lowered. Look at the debt now that our credit rating has been lowered. GDP, flat. Flat. Household debt. Household debt is as high as China's GDP for 2024. Household debt in the U.S. is the equivalent of the GDP of China of 2024. Don't you know when an empire is going broke? And when they show up, and instead of doing a clean, simple, easy deal, tap, 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 guys, I need you to follow me. You got to support this live stream. I know it's late. I know it's late. But you gotta support my brain. You gotta support my mouth. I need you to follow me. I need you to go to my profile, check out my profile and that link. Support my live stream. If you value my mind and my mouth, that is my greatest gift. My mouth and my brain is my greatest gift. I'm asking you to follow me. I'm asking you to go to my profile. There's a link there. Show your love, show your support, because I'm not even done. My mouth and my brain is my greatest. It's a blessing and a curse. Okay? I'm telling you, you look at the country and what's going on. And then you look at the fact that the U.S. has offered a weapons deal that has never been offered before. They are offering fighter jets that Israel was the only country that had dibs on it. Listen to me. The U.S. government is offering Saudi Arabia access to jets that Israel was the sole country in that region that has access to it. When someone comes with that, with things that are unheard of, even the U.S. has lifted all sanctions off of Syria. That's unheard of. When countries start acting cray-cray and they start making bold economic policies like that, I'm telling you, if you look at the nature of the country you're doing business with, are they known to be trusted? Now, I love America. I love all countries. I'm speaking objectively. I love every country in the world. I'm telling you that now. I love the world. But you also have to be able to recognize the beast that you're dealing with. Okay? When you're dealing with the bunny, when you're dealing with the turtle, when you're dealing with the lion, and when you're dealing with the snake. Look at the history of what that country has done and will do to achieve what it wants. Because history doesn't lie. History tells you the nature. Like it tells you the nature of the person, it will tell you the nature of the country. Look at the nature of the country. Look at how it got started. Look at how the U.S. became a superpower. The U.S. became a superpower because Europe was destroying itself. Europe was going crazy on itself, and it was literally leveling itself. You know what the U.S. did? The U.S. came in, hey guys, knock, knock. I see y'all destroyed your shit. So let me help you. I will loan you money to help you rebuild. You will use my money to rebuild. And that's one of the ways the U.S. became a superpower and basically Mario Brothers over Europe. The U.S. also gave Germany a loan. First, we said, Germany, you owe money for destroying Europe and starting this fight. But on top of that, you got to pay. But I'm going to help you pay. I'm going to give you a loan to pay me back at unbelievable interest rates. And you're going to take, I don't know, a few generations to pay that back.
I don't think they paid it back till 2008 or something.
Germany just paid back that loan from the world wars. So we're saying we're going to fine you because we're good. We're going to offer you a loan at a high interest rate. And that loan is going to send your economy into a deep recession. But hey, I tried to help you out. Come on now. You got to look at the beast that you're dealing with. Saudi Arabia, you have a chance to win, be one of the winners of this AI race. You cannot allow the national security of another country to trump your national security. Let's talk about your national security, Saudi Arabia. Your national security. If you allow another country to set up first of all, a digital embassy, whoever came up with that, you're a smooth motherfucker. I got to give credit where credit's due. Whoever came up with the term digital embassy, you're one slick ass motherfucker. Congratulations. You're a smart person. The hustle is real. There are no boundaries on a digital embassy. So the U.S. is throwing around its national security. But Saudi Arabia, let me ask you about your national security. How are you going to stop the sneak peeking on your economy, on your citizens, on your government, on your royal family? How are you going to protect your country if you have another country with a digital embassy who can access it remotely thousands of miles away? What about your national security? Do you actually think it's wise for you to get those chips that I can guarantee you have been altered, have been doctored? Do you trust it? I wouldn't trust it. I would create my own.
Tap the screen.
Tap that screen. I would not accept a chip from NVIDIA. You know what I'll tell NVIDIA? You know what, NVIDIA? I'll buy the intellectual capital, the intellectual property for that chip. Then I'll bring in some of the world's best scientists to evaluate it to make sure I'm not getting tricked. And then I would take my critical rare minerals and I would set up where those chips are being made. I wouldn't take the chips. I would buy the rights. That's what you do. You be careful on who comes bearing gifts, because the one who comes bearing gifts sometimes are the ones who are coming to screw you the hell over. I would not buy those chips. I would buy the rights to those fucking chips. The design rights, the intellectual, I would buy every, and I would own that, and I would have them built for myself. There's no way I would take those chips for my national security. You would be setting yourself up to be compromised on so many different levels. And then you can be the front person. You can be the scapegoat for whatever goes wrong. Let me tell you what also can happen. When you have another country and their chips, they have a digital embassy and they can access those chips. Let me tell you what they can do. They can start fights with other countries using your AI chips that you bought. Did you hear me? That's also another Cold War tactic. Disinformation, misinformation. You cause beef, you cause strife. Every time the Middle East is getting a foot forward, they're moving forward. Let me tell you what happens. You have outside interference. Outside interference. Every time a region of the world is getting ready to economically rise to its rightful power, every single time, you want to know what happens? Europe, the U.S., comes in, colonizes of some front, attempts to make peace, makes a decision that causes strife and fighting that lasts for generations, generations, and generations. Look at the history of the Middle East. Look at what's happened in Africa. Look what's happened in Asia. Look. You have outside influences come in, like the Spanish conquistadors, takes your stuff, destabilizes your nation, gets you guys fighting with each other, and then for the next 20 to 200 years, you're fighting, you're destroying yourself as other regions of the world got rich and stay rich off of your resources. Tap that screen, follow me, show your support. This is why I talk about history, because when you understand history, you understand there's certain patterns. There are patterns to this. There's patterns to money flow. There's patterns to economic cycles, business cycles, and there's patterns to human nature. Human nature. The world is made up of humans. Each country is made up of humans, and each country has a certain nature. And when push comes to shove, the true nature of the country you're dealing with, it raises its head and it shows itself what it is. Now, next, here we go. The White House has an AI advisor. The White House's AI advisor says we must prevent advanced semiconductors from being illegally diverted into China. Do you actually think China doesn't have AI chip? Come on now. Let's get real. Do you actually think the great country of China, whom we have allowed to manufacture goods for us for donkey years, manufacture robots, manufacture do you actually think China does not have semiconductors? That's like saying China doesn't have planes. China doesn't have electricity. China doesn't have subway. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Come on, guys. We have to break this down to the simplest level. First, don't forget, I need you to follow me. Support my live stream, okay? Follow me, support my live stream, and please go to my profile and take your support to the next level. Does that make sense? What they're saying to you, does that make sense? China has drones that requires chips. China has dogs that goes pew, 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 pew. It has robotic dogs. Are you buying what the hell these people are telling you? Or do you think something else is going on? Do you buy the BS that's being told? It doesn't make sense. We keep talking about national security, yet I'm going to say again, President Trump has a national jet that's from Qatar. Where's the national security on that? Where's the national security on that? I'm telling you, it's a ploy, okay? It's a ploy. What they're doing is that they are basically trying to tell you shit doesn't stink. And you and I both know shit stinks. I don't care what day of the week it is, what hour of the day, shit will always stink. They're trying to convince you that they want to control something that you bought, you paid full price for. They're telling you we need to control it because we don't trust you, Saudi Arabia. That's essentially what they're saying. Saudi Arabia, we love you. We want your money, but we don't trust you. We trust you enough to offer you 18,000 chips, but we don't trust you enough to use the chips freely. Right? We trust you enough to pay us for these chips. We trust you so much that you made NVIDIA's CEO one of the 10 top richest people in the world. We trust NVIDIA's CEO one of the 10 top richest people in the world. We trust you so much to invest $1 trillion over 4 years in the U.S. economy. But Saudi Arabia, we are questioning your capability to handle such power. That sounds like a person or an entity that wants to exploit you. That sounds like someone, an entity, who's playing mind games with you. That sounds like a country or entity that is trying to undermine you, smile in your face, and shake you in the back, and control you, and steal your money. That's what it sounds like to me. Because if you look at the history of colonization, what do? They come in with tricks. Either they come in trying to befriend you. Yes, even with the slave trade, if you go into Africa, originally it started with friendships. And then that friendship, once they got the lay of the land, once your friends understands what's happening in your house, and they understand your movements and your timings, and then they come in and take what they really want. So what I'm trying to suggest is that I think Saudi Arabia would be better off asking for the rights to that chip, own all of it, secure it, and then go someplace else and get it built. That's what I would do. I wouldn't do it. If someone's selling you something with strings attached, I wouldn't do it. And now they also think that the Washington wants the Middle East to use the tech without restricting them. The U.S. says, I want you to use the tech, and I don't want to restrict you, but I got to restrict you because I don't trust you. I'm going to repeat. The U.S. government, Washington saying to the Middle East, we want you to use U.S. tech. We don't want to restrict you, but we're going to restrict you because we don't trust you. And we don't trust what you can or cannot do in regards to that. So the U.S. wants to make the sales. The U.S. wants to make the rules. The U.S. wants to control. That don't sound right. That doesn't sound right. You want to sell to me, yet I can't do it as I please. You want all my money, but I can't use it how I want. You want to be on my soil. You want to be on my soil in Saudi Arabia so you can manage what I do. Saudi Arabia, that means you're not a country. That means you're colonized. Your AI, you're digitally going to be colonized by the U.S. if you agrees to this. Now, here's the thing. The U.S. has basically offered Saudi Arabia a $142 billion in arms deal. So Saudi Arabia, they're trying to blind you with a arms deal that's over the moon so that you don't pay attention to what's really going on. The U.S. is offering you fighter jets and all this equipment that Israel has access to so that you get so excited like a kid in a candy store that you don't know you're being set up to be played.
Follow me.
Follow me, guys. How many people are here?
You have 216.
I got 216. Please follow me and tap that screen.
And check out the website.
And check out my website, Treb. Can you get rid of Treb? Treb, thank you and goodbye. Thank you and goodbye, Treb. All right? I want you to understand this. This is a ploy. The Saudi-U.S. arms package is worth $142 billion, and it's the largest defense cooperation agreement Washington has ever made. It's the largest defense cooperation agreement that the U.S. has ever made. It's bigger than Israel's. If someone's offering you something like that, when their GDP is flat, their debt has left planet Earth, and their credit rating has just got dropped, don't you think you want to do a little bit more of a background check before you jump into the bed with this? Don't you want to evaluate it? Do you want to look at U.S. history? And when U.S. history economy is not doing well, don't you think you should study U.S. history? Look at the strategic patterns of what happens when the economy is struggling and we come bearing gifts. Don't you think you want to look at that? Don't you think you want to look at that? Don't you think you want to study that? You need to study who you do business with. You need to study their patterns. You need to look at how they act. Because if the U.S. has never done a deal like this before and is doing a deal like this now, that means what it's getting from you, Saudi Arabia, is much bigger. Tap that screen and follow me if you just heard me. If the U.S. is offering Saudi Arabia one of the biggest weapons deal that we've ever done, don't you think that what we're taking from Saudi Arabia must be worth a lot more? This is strategy. This is money. This is power. This is strategy. No one offers you something like that unless they're getting something more. 142 billion. Saudi Arabia, that's chump change. Let me tell you why, Saudi Arabia. You just agreed to invest 600 billion. Saudi Arabia, yesterday, you just agreed to invest 600 billion in the U.S. economy. 600 billion. And you're getting excited over a 142 billion weapons deal? Don't you know when you're getting gypped? You're investing 600 billion at least to 1 trillion in the U.S. economy. And the best they can offer you is 142 billion in weapons. And they're saying this is the best deal we've ever done, Saudi Arabia. You're getting a grand deal, a grand deal. We have never offered another country such a weapons deal like that. You should be grateful. Saudi Arabia, don't you know when you got the power? Don't you know when you got the money, you got the power? They want your money. That means you got the power. Don't you know when you got the power? The accent. Yes, yeah. Don't you know when you have the power? They're offering you 142 billion in weapons, and you're giving over 1 trillion. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. You're offering 1 trillion over 4 years, 1 trillion Saudi Arabia. And they came up with a measly 142 billion in weapons. Come on now. This is probably old stuff. It's been stuff that's been sitting in a goddamn warehouse that they're selling to you. Think it through, Saudi. Canada canceled the deal, okay? And they're probably trying to sell you Canada stuff. They're trying to sell you China stuff. You got to think it through. This doesn't make sense at all. Okay? They're giving aircraft, missiles, radars, and more as a part of the deal. Saudi, you're getting played. If the U.S. is giving you the best weapons deal that they've ever given another country, what that means is that they're taking something from you more and you don't see it. But I'm going to give you a clue. It has to do with those 18,000 NVIDIA chips. I'm going to give you a clue. It has to do with the digital embassy they're trying to convince you is a good idea. It has something to do with them accessing your system, your country, remotely, and be in that region of the world and actually watch everyone else in that region of the world. Sometimes, guys, information and location trumps money. Sometimes information and location trumps money. So if the U.S. is offering you this deal, I'm telling you, you might want to scrutinize that. Whoever your deal maker is, you need to scrutinize them, because that person, hi Dusty, that person's not thinking this through. You're getting excited over toys. You're getting excited over old toys. Toys that we probably couldn't sell because Canada told us to go kick rocks and the EU told us to eat dust. I'm telling you, you might want to think again. Thank you, Dusty. I'm telling you, you might want to think about this again, okay? Now, Saudi Arabia has been attempting, thank you, Dusty, for a long time. Saudi Arabia has been attempting to negotiate Lockheed's F-35 jets out of the U.S. Saudi Arabia has been attempting for a long time to negotiate Lockheed's F-35 jets out of the U.S. Saudi Arabia, if they're giving it to you now and they haven't been willing to give it to you before, don't you think something's up? Think about it. You have never been able to get it before. It doesn't matter how much money you've, thank you, Dusty. It doesn't matter how much money you have invested in the U.S. It doesn't matter how peaceful you have been in the Middle East. It doesn't matter how neutral you have been. The U.S. government has not been willing to give you access to Lockheed's F-35 jets until now.
Support my life.
Tap that screen, guys, and follow me. I need you to support my live. And check out the link in my profile, okay? If this is adding value to you, okay? Support my live in direct proportion to the value I'm adding to you. And that new link is in my profile, okay? That new link's in my profile. Thank you, Jojo. I want you to think it through. Someone's been telling you no, 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 no. No, 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 no. And all of a sudden they say, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. If I were you, I would say, oh no. Thank you for the, I would say, oh no. No, no. Thank you, Elm Street. No, no. I'm telling you something's wrong. I'm telling you, hi, Kevin. I'm telling you something is completely wrong. And you might want to sit back and analyze it. We are in a digital age, which means we could be in a digital war. Saudi Arabia, do you know we can tap into your money? Did you know that we can hack into your banking system? Did you know that we could take your money? Did you know that, Saudi Arabia? With a digital embassy and you setting up, because yesterday I said if you set up an AI hub, in Saudi Arabia or the Middle East, I told you one of your greatest concerns, Saudi Arabia, was cybersecurity. Even Oracle couldn't keep itself from being hacked. Dior. Now, anyone who buys anything from Dior, if you've been buying those fancy perfumes, I'm telling you that Dior has been hacked. And if you've been sending your mistress some fancy perfume, I'm letting you know Dior has been hacked, and you will be found out. You will be found out that you were sending your mistress Dior perfume, and you should have been sending it to me. So, okay, anyone who buys Dior, and you've been buying it for your side piece, your male or your female side piece, and you haven't been sending me that, I'm telling you, Dior has been hacked, okay? And you should have been sending it to me. So shame on you, okay? Shame on you. Okay? So you have Oracle who's been hacked. You have Dior who's been hacked. And Dior, they are basically trying to, what is it called? They are trying to, they're trying to extort Dior. So whoever, and Coinbase. So Coinbase and Dior has been hacked, and Oracle, and they're trying to extort them. So listen to me, Saudi Arabia. Listen to me. You got Oracle, you got Coinbase, you got Dior, who have been hacked, who are being extorted, blackmailed. If you do this, do you know the trillions of money that you have brought into your country? You are opening yourself up to an unbelievable amount of risk. I want you to go back to Saudi Arabia. I want you to imagine Saudi Arabia before you started mining and drilling, before Aramco got started. I want you to go back to time and look at the quality of life. And then I want you to compare it to today. Do you think 142 billion in weapons is enough for you to expose your country, your economic policies, your bank accounts? All it takes is one small opening for a hacker to come in and disrupt your financial system. Do you think that's smart? Follow me. Tap that screen, support my live, guys. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Please follow me, tap that screen, and please go to the link in my profile. You got to support this mouth, okay? You got to keep these lips, moist, all right? Support my live, follow me. You understand? You have to support. Does that make sense? Because it doesn't make sense to me. This is a new age, and this new age is using new tactics. And if you are not up on what the possibilities are, you are exposing yourself to a version of economic and financial colonization. I said this over a month ago. I said this when I was talking about stablecoin. I said this when I was talking about when banks were allowed to move into crypto. I told you that what the U.S. was doing as far as our economic policies, I looked into the future and I saw it as economic and financial colonization. Why? Because we are in a digital age. We have a digital boom. That means Cold War, espionage, and all other tactics. It looks different. Guys, I'm in Vietnam right now. 2 weeks ago, I was asleep. My son woke me up and there was a drone outside my hotel window. Did you hear me? If you heard me, follow me and tap that screen. I'm telling you, I'm on the 35th floor. I'm asleep. Okay? My son kicks the bed and tells me there's a drone outside watching us through the window. Why am I talking to you about this? I'm talking to you about this for the fact that we are in a new time. We are in a new age. You don't have to have someone show up on your shore with a boat. You don't have to have, a group like Genghis Khan on horseback, and you can hear the hooves of the horses coming before they arrive. We have technologies, we have satellites that allows countries to move differently, and operate differently, and they can do it very sneaky. They can do it sneaky. You don't know that you've been hacked until they're asking you for money. You don't know that you've been hacked until you find your customer data list and all those perfumes, all those gifts, you find out it's on the web, and your wife is calling you or your husband's calling you trying to figure out who the hell is this person and why didn't it come to me? You don't want that to happen. So what I'm telling you is this: you need to operate differently. Now, Israel is the only country in the Middle East with those jets. Now, how do you think Israel feels? Israel had an upper hand as far as U.S. weapons in the Middle East. Now, if Saudi Arabia agrees to this deal, Saudi Arabia will have access to the same technology that Israel has been able to successfully use to create its version of an Iron Dome or security. That changes the playing field. That changes the dynamic. So when I tell you there's a pattern, a history in Asia, Middle East, and Africa, in South America and Central America, of outside influences coming in, destabilizing the regions, increasing tensions, causing people to side-eye, I'm telling you, you see it. If I was Israel, I would be like, WTF. If I was Saudi Arabia, I would be like, yay, but That's what I would be doing. Because when you sow discord, when there's discord, it keeps other nations from advancing economically. When nations are busy, distracted, and fighting, they're not able to think clearly. You have other countries who's planting seeds, who's disrupting the balance, sowing discord, and then all of you know, you're fighting again. And you know what's happening? The West is advancing. The West has access to your resources, and you've given them $1 trillion, and all you have is 140 billion in weapons that once you use it, you lose it. Once you use it, you lose it. And there's no guarantee they're going to give it to you again. Follow me. Tap that screen, everyone. Please follow me. These are the ploys and the economic strategies that have been successfully used by the great kingdom, the Roman Empire, the British Empire, the American. These are the ploys the Spanish have used. They've used it successfully. So if you want to know why colonization was so lucrative, it lasted for so long, and so many people were exploited and disposed of, it's these same strategies that are being used in a modern day version. They come with gifts. They have strings attached. You think that's your ally, but it's really your enemy. And your country, your economy has been exploited, has been exposed, and guess what? You're compromised. Just like that. Why? Because they came with gifts. They came with gifts. Now, the deal hasn't gone through, okay? The deals haven't gone through for the jets because the U.S. has a pledge to always give Israel the qualitative military edge in the Middle East. So the deal is not secure because the U.S. made a pledge. You see my face, right? The U.S. has made a pledge to Israel. If you made a pledge to Israel, then why are you offering it to Saudi Arabia? At all. Did y'all hear me? The deal hasn't gone through because the U.S. is trying to see how Israel will react. What would they do? What would be the damage? Can they mitigate the damage? If you made a pledge to Israel, why is it even in a discussion? Why is it a negotiation tactic? Why is it even an offer to Saudi Arabia? Unless you are causing problems. Yes or no? Tap that screen, guys. I'm almost done. I know I've probably shocked and rocked your world. Follow me, tap that screen, and support my live stream, okay? If you've made a pledge to Israel, you made a promise to Israel, then why are you offering this to Saudi Arabia unless your ass is in trouble? Why would you jeopardize your relationship with Israel? First of all, you're in the Middle East and you're not even visiting Israel. Why would you jeopardize your relationship with Israel? First of all, you're in the Middle East and you're not even visiting Israel. You have snubbed Israel. And then on top of that, you're offering something that you pledged to Israel, you're offering to Saudi Arabia. That sounds like something that's causing problems. Do you understand? You're causing problems intentionally. Now, I believe that this stuff is being created because the Middle East has money. They have access to resources and minerals. They have money that the U.S. needs. And you have an opportunity to get a leg up. I told you when Europe was destroying itself, The US was able to become a superpower because Europe was in decline. So the US slid in, the US moonwalked its way, did you hear me? The US moonwalked its way into the front, loaned money, and became a superpower and helped rebuild Europe. And that's why Europe was in the palm of the US hands. So what do I think happening right now? I think the US is like the Roman Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Dutch Empire, the British Empire, and it's crumbling. And what do great empires do when they crumble? Well, they go other places, they cause problems, they take their stuff, and they rebuild and they go on their merry way. So I believe these jets are being offered for ulterior motives. Because if Saudi Arabia and there's more strife in the Middle East, guess what? If you're fighting, you're not focused on the AI race. And if you're fighting and you're arguing, you don't realize that this digital embassy is actually spying on you and probably siphoning off some of your funds. I'm just giving you possibilities. There's no limit with the digital age. There's no limit. You can send in a drone. You can tap into Starlink. You can control a fighter jet with a remote. So this is the age that we're living in. And unless these other countries, you get with the program and you realize alliances are shifting and you realize the U.S. is in need. The U.S. is in need. Syria has just branded itself the land of opportunity. The U.S. has always been known as the land of opportunity. Syria has just branded itself the land of opportunity. If Syria is calling itself the land of opportunity, let me tell you why. The U.S. was the land of opportunity because the U.S. was a baby. It was new. It was essentially untapped potential. And when you have untapped potential and you have access to resources, you know what that means? Money, money, cash, 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 money, 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 cash, 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 cash. Now, Syria has been fighting for a very long time. Syria has fallen off course. Syria is the new land of opportunity because it's basically in its infancy. The U.S. natural resources, thank you, blue sky, and the U.S. is almost tapped out. So what do? We lift sanctions on Syria, which is in itself some type of possession. We lift sanctions. Okay, someone got possessed when that happened. We lifted all sanctions overnight. It wasn't gradual. It was overnight. I see the U.S. moving in. I see the U.S. not wanting to step on the toes of Saudi Arabia because we're pretending to be allies, friends of Saudi Arabia. So I see us helping Saudi Arabia set up its AI hub as we control it remotely and on its soil. And Saudi Arabia is helping Syria get set up. And the U.S. is lurking behind the scenes the whole time, sowing discord and milking. Sowing discord and milking. There's no way the Middle East has been fighting for this long. And the U.S. can magically get access to resources. And we go home as you destroy your land and you haven't been questioning how your friend is safe and secure and your region of the world keeps getting disrupted. Now, I believe in free trade, but I believe in fair free trade. I'm going to repeat. I believe in free trade, but I believe in fair free trade. I don't believe in sabotage. I don't believe in undermining, and I don't believe in playing games and manipulation. And when I can't do, if I buy your chips and you're trying to tell me what to do with my chips, I'm not going to do a deal with you because I can't trust you. It's like me handing you a $1 bill and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to pay you, but I tear up half of that bill. I give you half of a dollar. The U.S. is not going to accept half of a dollar bill. They want all of Saudi Arabia's money. So if I have to pay you all my money, how are you going to have terms? You're going to have terms of how I use my shit. That doesn't work. It only works if there's a ploy. All right. Last but not least, if the deal went through with Saudi Arabia would be the second country in the Middle East with jets. Now, these sales are supposed to show a strengthening with Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. Okay, what the U.S. is attempting to do with all its deals and having these CEOs and tech titans come with Trump is supposed to deepen our relations with the Middle East and Saudi Arabia. I'm telling you, you need to go back to when the Spanish conquistadors arrived in South America, and when they thought, Hernan Cortez was, Quetzalcoatl. They thought he was Quetzalcoatl. And they thought he was the serpent god, the white serpent god. And he ended up being something completely different. And that was one of the downfall of the Aztecs. You let in something that appeared to be divine, that appeared to be arrive at the right time, appear with weapons and lifting sanctions on Syria and meeting with the president of Syria and snubbing Israel and giving you access to fighter jets I would go back in history. Go back in history. Because if this was a pure, true deal, you pay me the money, I hand you the chips, I say thank you for doing business, and I move on. When someone is making claims and trying to take control over something they have no power over, I'm telling you, nope. Next, Saudi Arabia. If you do this deal, the U.S. is going to be riding the coattails of your success. I'm going to repeat. Saudi Arabia is too expensive in the U.S. It's too expensive for the U.S. to produce AI. Why? Because energy costs are too high. Renewable energy is cheaper in the Middle East. It's cheaper in Asia. If you allow the U.S. to have remote access and on the soil access, I'm telling you, you're going to allow the U.S. to ride your coattails and siphon off your monetary success. You might want to think that through, because the U.S. rides its own success. It cashes its checks in the bank. Anytime you allow someone to ride your coattails, it basically steals away your thunder. It takes away your power. It takes away the prosperity and the economic boom that would come to Saudi Arabia and that region of the world. So I'm asking you to pump your brakes. Thank you for the gift. I'm asking you to pump your brakes. I'm asking you to tread lightly. And I'm asking you to think about this very, very strategically. You want to own the rights, the intellectual property of that chip from NVIDIA. And then I would get some of the world's best minds to evaluate that, fix it for my purposes, and then I would build my own chips. I would not let anyone get into my house, tell me what to do, have access to my bank accounts, and basically can pretend to be me and know what I do every time, every point of the day. They know when you sleep. They know when you eat. They know when you're on the jet. They know who you're talking to. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Last but not least, they worried about China. China's not thinking about us, but China is thinking about us. China's not the only country that can access those chips and the cloud. The U.S. can access it. Germany can access it. England can. Everyone can access it if you have the skills. So the excuse that they're using, that they don't trust you, that China may get access to it, anyone can have access to it. Those chips can magically never appear to Saudi Arabia. One. Next, how is NVIDIA going to make the chips? They're trying to trick you out of your rare minerals. China has an export ban on the U.S. for critical rare minerals. The U.S. has tapped into our stockpile. Yes, we're getting minerals. We're getting minerals from the Ukraine, but we don't have enough. We don't have enough. So if we don't have enough critical rare minerals, let me tell you what they're doing. They're offering you 18,000 of NVIDIA's best chips that no one else has access to. And you know what they're going to tell them? Hey, Saudi Arabia, listen, man, we're having a hard time producing these chips. So do you think you can get us access to your mines and your minerals so we can deliver your chips? Can you let us use your critical rare minerals to produce chips that you paid for so we can deliver on what we said we were going to deliver? Follow me. Follow me. I'm going to repeat that. The U.S. is scrambling to get critical rare minerals because China has put its foot down and its foot on the U.S.'s behind. The U.S. is scurrying around, trying to get enough critical rare minerals to produce the technology that's needed for AI, for chips, humanoid robots, whatever else we're trying to do, quantum computing. So Saudi Arabia may have said, no, we're not going to let you mine. So what the U.S. has done, the U.S. has showed up with 18,000 chips, NVIDIA's best chips. But I have a problem. NVIDIA is going to have a hard time manufacturing because NVIDIA is going to need those critical rare minerals. Now, Saudi Arabia is going to be busy starting to build its AI infrastructure, and it's going to be expecting those chips. And guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a hiccup in the supply chain. NVIDIA's CEO, President Trump and administration is going to call one of the crown princes and say, hey, we're so excited. We're almost there to deliver those chips. But we ran a hiccup. We have a hiccup. We need access to some critical rare minerals. Now, I know you want those for you, but in order for us to deliver those chips, do you think you can slide something over? Do you think you can hook us up and give us access to your goods so we can produce the stuff and send it to you? So what am I saying? The U.S. has volunteered to make something that I don't think they can fully deliver on. The U.S. has promised something that I don't think it has the critical rare minerals to deliver on. And Saudi Arabia is going to move forward in good faith, start building its AI infrastructure, start investing billions, trillions of dollars in something. And one critical thing is going to be missing. It's going to be that chip. And the U.S. government already knows, NVIDIA knows they can't manufacture all those chips because of the export ban from China, and our stockpiles are running low. And that's how they're going to get access to your mines. They're going to trick you, Saudi Arabia, under the guise of giving you weapons. Now, guys,
Check out my profile.
I'm getting ready to wrap up. If you haven't followed me,
If you enjoyed the show.
you enjoyed my live, please follow me. Next, if this has added any value to you, I'm asking you to go to the new link in my profile. There's a new link in my profile. Hi, Chris. Thank you. There's a new link in my profile. I'm asking you to support this live stream, this mouth, this brain. I'm asking you to support it in direct proportion to the value I have added to you. All right. And I will give you a personal shout out for doing so. But guys, I love money. I love history. I love business. I love economics, and I love human nature, and I love tying it all together and giving you a mind-blowing live stream. I am here every day. My name is Tara. I have a weird way of thinking about things, and I truly hope that you found this informative, you found it engaging, you found it enlightening, stimulating, and if you have, please follow me. Go to the new link in my profile and please show your support for this live stream. Show me that you value it, and I value all of you. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your taps. And I will be back again with a completely different topic. I just happen to be talking about Saudi Arabia for the last 2 days, but I'll be on something else tomorrow, and I'm going to bring it as usual. Thank you. Support this stream. Thank you for following me, and I will see you all tomorrow. I love you. Have a good night. Goodbye. Bye. Thank you.